Hi, so I've been asked by a few of my clients to make a video going over the very basics of Pilates that we go over usually the first time you come in for a session. So we'll briefly go over a handful of those today. We're going to start with the Pilates breathing. In Pilates we tend to do more of a rib cage breath instead of a belly breath because we're trying to keep our abdominals engaged while we're doing the movements, so we're breathing through our ribs instead of releasing the abdominals. So if you go ahead and put your hands on your rib cage, we're going to think of when we take an in-breath through our nose, we're going to think of expanding our cage to the side and behind us. So it'll look like this. And then I'm going to breathe out through my mouth. So I'm breathing in through my nose, expanding my rib cage, and then out through my mouth. So go ahead and try a couple of them. Breathing in through your nose, and out through your mouth. So when you're breathing out through your mouth, you're making this sound like you're fogging up a mirror or a window, something like that. You'll notice that it'll force you to engage your abdominals when you breathe that way. That's kind of what we want. So you're going to breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth. Good. The second big important thing to Pilates is the co-contraction, where we're engaging the pelvic floor muscles. We've got this hammock of muscles in the bowl of the hip that we're wanting to lift to protect the low back. So it's kind of like a Kegel, if you were done a Kegel before, or the other thing that we usually say that most people get is stopping the flow of urine. So if you ever had to go to the bathroom and you had to wait in line, you did this kind of lifting feeling. So we want to engage that feeling as well as this feeling of sandwiching the spine. So it's the two together. You start with the lifting feeling, the Kegel, the stopping the flow of urine feeling, and then once that's engaged, you think of sandwiching your belly button towards your spine and the lower back muscles towards your spine. That's the co-contraction, and it happens on the exhale. So we'll breathe in through our nose, expanding our side ribs, and then we're going to exhale through our mouth, Kegel, get that lifting feeling, and then sandwiching the spine. Okay, so that's your co-contraction. Try a handful of them. We're going to breathe in, expanding the side ribs, and out, lifting and sandwiching. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. One more. Breathing in, expanding the side ribs. Breathing out, lifting and sandwiching. Good. Now we're going to take this idea down to the floor. So we're going to get into what we call home position. So we're going to get onto the floor nice and easy. We're going to lay on our back. We're going to have our knees bent. So we're going to have our feet about 2 fist width apart or in line with the head of the femur or the thigh bone. We're going to have the big toe ball reaching down towards the floor, the little toe ball reaching down towards the floor, and the heel sinking down into the mat. Our heels are about 1 foot to 1.5 foot from our hips, depending on how tall you are, how long your legs are. We want our tailbone nice and flat on the floor. We want a nice natural lumbar curve, so you can think of having a little trail of ants, or being able to slide your hand underneath there. You don't want your back to be completely flat. Okay? And then we're thinking of sending these lower ribs, we're thinking of knitting them towards each other and sending them down towards the floor. Okay? But when we do this, we're not losing that tailbone. We're going to still keep that tailbone flat. So this may feel a little bit awkward at first. We're going to have our shoulders on the floor, hands at our side, and we're going to just gently tuck the chin so that ridge on the back of the head is on the floor. So this is our home position. So from our home position, let's go ahead and take a couple breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose, expanding our side ribs. And then we're going to breathe out through our mouth, co-contracting, so getting that lifting and sandwiching feeling. Now let's do 2 more. In breath. And exhale, co-contract. And inhale through your nose, expanding the side ribs. And exhale through your mouth. Tailbone should stay flat. There shouldn't be any curling when you exhale. Good. now that I just said that, we're going to do a movement where we do curl the tailbone under on the exhale. So the next set of exercises are going to be pelvic tilts. The first one's going to be called pelvic tilt north. What we're going to do is take the top of the hip bone and rotate it down towards the floor so it creates a flattening of the low back. Now this is an exaggeration of the movement, it's not going to be quite this big. What we're doing is working on retraining the abdominal muscles to isolate the hip. So I'm going to inhale through my nose to prepare, and then I'm going to exhale, co-contract first. So I'm getting that abdominal engagement first, and then I'm going to finish my exhale and get that tilt to happen using just the abdominals, keeping the glutes soft, keeping the legs relatively soft. I'm going to inhale through my side ribs and come back to a flat tailbone, or what we call a neutral spine. And I'm going to exhale, co-contract first, then pelvic tilt north. Inhale through those ribs as you release. Exhale, co-contract, then pelvic tilt. And inhale back to center. Exhale, co-contract, pelvic tilt north. And I'm going to inhale back to center. Now I'm going to switch directions. I'm going to do what we call a pelvic tilt south. So I'm taking the hip bones and sending them away from my rib cage. Or I'm thinking of sending the tip of my tailbone down to the floor. This is going to create a little bit of an arch in the low back. So again, I'm exaggerating the movement so you can see the general direction, but I don't want my ribs to come up, and I'm not going to make quite this big of a movement. So I'm going to inhale through my side ribs. I'm going to exhale, co-contract first, then I'm going to pelvic tilt south, sending my tailbone down towards the floor. Then I'm going to inhale back to center. Exhale, co-contract first, then pelvic tilt south. So I'm still keeping these ribs out, I'm not flaring them up at all, okay? So I'm inhaling back to center, flat tailbone. Exhale, co-contract, pelvic tilt south. And inhale, center. And exhale, co-contract, pelvic tilt south. And breathing in through the nose, expanding the side ribs and coming back to center. So now we're going to alternate. We're going to start with a north. We'll inhale, come back to center, and then we'll exhale, go south. So it'll look like this. I'm going to inhale to prepare, expanding the side ribs. Exhale, co-contract first, then pelvic tilt north. And then I'm inhaling through the ribs. Exhale, co-contract, pelvic tilt south. Inhale, center. Exhale, going north. Inhale back to center. And exhale, south. Inhale, center. Exhale, co-contract, going north. Curling that tailbone towards your head. Inhale back to center. And exhale, co-contract, turning the tailbone down towards the floor. And inhale back to center. Good. Let's go ahead and play with those a little bit. You'll notice one direction is a little bit easier than the other. That's okay. Now we're going to take this pelvic tilt north concept and do what we call a bridge. So I'm going to start with an in-breath. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to co-contract first, and then I'm going to pelvic tilt north. From here, I'm going to press down into my feet. I'm going to reach my knees away from me to make space for my hips as I roll up one vertebrae at a time into a bridge. I'm going to inhale through my side ribs at the top as I hold. Notice my belly doesn't move. I'm making sure my weight is over my feet and not in my neck and shoulders. And then from here, I'm going to exhale again, co-contract. I'm going to pelvic tilt north a little bit further, really getting a big stretch in the lower back. And then I'm going to soften at the chest, at the sternum, and begin to roll down one vertebrae at a time, pressing down into my feet. All the way back down to a neutral spine. So I'm going to inhale through my side ribs to prepare. Exhale, co-contract first, pelvic tilt north. I'm pressing down into my feet, reaching my knees away as I roll up one vertebrae at a time, keeping my weight over my feet. My neck and shoulders are relaxed. I'm trying to get my knee in line with my hip, in line with my shoulder, so it's a nice plank line. I'm going to inhale at the top through my side ribs, keeping my belly engaged. I'm going to exhale, deepen my abdominal engagement, lift that co-contraction. I'm going to pelvic tilt north a little bit further, and softening at the chest, I'm rolling down one vertebrae at a time. I'm pressing down into my big toe balls, my inner thigh is engaged. And I'm feeling this in my hamstrings in the back of the thigh. Good, let's do one more. I'm going to inhale to prepare. Exhale, co-contract, pelvic tilt north. I'm pushing down into my feet, reaching my knees away as I roll up, one vertebrae at a time. I'm inhaling at the top as I hold. I'm going to exhale, deepen that co-contraction. I'm going to pelvic tilt a little bit further, then softening at the chest. I'm rolling down one vertebrae at a time. I'm trying to keep my hips up for as long as possible so I get a nice stretch in my low back. Good. So it's a longer breath. If you feel like you're running out of air, just take a breath. Don't hold your breath. Holding your breath is always going to make things harder. And take your time with the bridge. Notice where the vertebrae want to move instead of one at a time and chunks of 4 or 5. And take a little bit of extra time through there. Really give yourself time to stretch that back. Feel the hamstring engagement and enjoy it. All right. Thanks for watching.